Hi, good day. I'm gonna be a little bit ranty right now. I didn't plan to film this. I obviously have no makeup on. It's early in the morning. This is literally Kool-Aid in here because I didn't want to make another cup of coffee, but I feel like when you were gonna spill some tea, you're supposed to have like a tea glass or a tea mug, so that's what I have. But really what I'm here for, I don't know what I'm going to title this, but I assume you'll get it by the title, is something that just comes up constantly with the genre of book that I read and in the friend group that I have. And last night, pretty late, my friend Tamika from Library of Tomes posted a screenshot of this video that she'd seen about people ragging on 365 Days, the Netflix film based on the Polish book 365 DNI, and it was just like people tearing it apart. And it reminds me a lot of, you know, what has happened / still gets said about 50 Shades of Grey. Full disclosure, I don't like 50 Shades of Grey. I didn't like the books, and I didn't really care for the films, okay? But my reasons for disliking 50 Shades of Grey have to do with I don't really care for Christian Grey, but I appreciate him, and I appreciate E.L. James for being a person who got really well known for what she did, and for introducing a lot of people to BDSM, and for making other authors who were maybe previously before that too scared to write a book about it, write BDSM books and do it better. Because I think we can all agree, and I'm not going to use the P word, problematic, to describe this, because I am a lover of dark romance, of taboo romance, of a lot of different kinky romances. And so I shy away from using problematic except for the most accurate situations. And I don't see 50 Shades of Grey as being that anymore. Do I think it is the best well-done version of this? No. I have read, if not hundreds of versions of books where this same type of scenario is done better and sexier, in my opinion. But I would never take it away from anyone. In fact, a lot of people in my romance booktuber group, they love 50 Shades. And I would never naysay it for them. I would never call them, I would never kink shame them. I would never say they have bad taste for liking books that I don't, because to me, my reasons for not liking 50 Shades of Grey have changed over time. I grew up pretty pure-minded for books in regards to the fact that though I have always read romance, I usually read tamer historical romances or YA books with romance in them until I graduated more strongly into things, only getting into really dark hardcore romances in the past couple of years. And it wasn't even until last year where I would admit that I was reading those books, because I found a community of people who were reading the same books, who were proud about it, who were making good reviews for them, to properly, inform people about what's in them, let them know what the trigger warnings are, and not just because they're like, ooh, this is dark, and there's situations of maybe non-consent, so you should stay away from this. I have learned there's so much nuance within that statement that to just call a book problematic and don't check out the triggers because you're just blanketing all of dark romance as problematic and having triggers is so irresponsible and really cutting so many people out from liking a book. That was one of the things that I wanted to do with the light versus dark readathon, is that I wanted my friends who are sure that they like light romance but don't know what kind of dark romances they would like. I wanted to make a readathon where they weren't forced into reading anything, but they were rewarded if they would give a book a chance. And I know that several of my friends who tried it really did enjoy that. I've had many of you who watch this tell me that you tried a book that you normally wouldn't have and you liked it, or you tried it and it wasn't quite your thing, but you also didn't think it was as dark as you thought it would be, because there's just this cover that's put over everything that if there's anything a little bit scary or uncomfortable, that it makes a book bad. Let me tell you a secret about dark romance readers. Just because we like to read it in the book, just because it's a fantasy, just because it gives us the thrills and the chills and the pleasure goosebumps, doesn't mean we want men or women to really do that to us in a relationship. Just because you like to read about spanking or bondage or someone ordering your day around and telling you what's best for you and looking out for you and caring for you and doing all those things, doesn't mean that you expect that in a real relationship. And even if you do, if that's the relationship you're looking for in real life, if you like spanking or breath play or blood play or any of those things, that doesn't make you kinky or shameful or weird. Okay? It doesn't. I just want you, in whatever sexual exploration you go into, I want you to be safe. So for me, that's where the line is with anything, and why I give trigger warnings. Because personally, like, I have yet to find a single kink or genre or subgenre where I've honestly needed a trigger warning. I know that that means I've lived a pretty blessed life. And also that I have a high tolerance for kinky, twisted stuff. I don't need to be warned ahead of time because there's nothing that I've ever found that I've been triggered about. There are a few things that I don't like reading in books, but none of them have to do with sexual things. Because I've just found the weirder things I've got, the stranger that it's went, the more that I've liked it. And the more that I've been like, ooh, this isn't something I want to read every day, but this was really interesting thing to read. I'm really like, wow. And it's like, the darker the twisted the book may seem on the outside, the more emotional and just like gut-wrenching that it can be on the outside. And there's book after book I've read where I hear what the premise is and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get something good out of this book. I'm just going to give it a try. And I'm left in a puddle. I think specifically like about the mafia romances that I read, a couple weeks back, maybe a month ago, where each book just gutted me. And it seemed like it'd be so dark, but it's these people living in such a dark, crazy world, and they find that one person that they can completely be their self with, whether just someone they can be emotionally vulnerable with, someone they can be sexually vulnerable with, someone that they need to enact certain scenarios on this person to find pleasure and gratification, but they're both consenting, and so it's the most beautiful thing I've ever read. There's so much more trust and bonding and love that goes into a dark romance done well than there is in a sunny everyday college romance. Because you're not risking anything. You're not risking being vulnerable about your desires and risking that person would expose them if you just like normal vanilla sex. And I like to read a happy sunny romance too. This isn't me saying you have to accept what I have to accept. This whole rant is just, I know I'm everywhere. I don't have any notes or any plan with this. It's just been things that have been building up, things we've been talking about in our romance group that people are just getting so angry about. And I know that a lot of the videos get made for clicks. And I want people to make their living if they want to make it. So it's not so much that I'm saying stop, but I still have an opinion and I'm angry about what I see, right? Because that's where I get conflicted, is like, I've made satire videos before. I've made a few videos where I have shredded a book. I felt so passionate about something that I just had to share my feelings. Episodes of Outlander, which I love with all my heart. In season 5, there was some episodes that I just looked at them and was like, what the hell are you doing? I can't appreciate this. And people have given me grief for it, and I understand. And so choose not to watch me if you don't want to. But the difference of it is, for me, is that with Outlander, the show, the people who already love that show, they're going to keep watching it at this point. Like, I'm not scaring people away from Outlander when I give my honest opinion about an episode. Also, I'm coming from a place of love, so when I see a part or something that I don't like, I'm harsher on it than I would be on something else. Whereas, let's take this as an example of, let's say I read a horror novel and I hate it and I think it's the worst put together thing. It disgusts me. I don't like it. I think it's unhealthy and horrible. And I write a scathing review for it. I make a satirical video about it, just slashing it all over the place. But I know nothing about horror. And while I should still have an opinion about the book and say this isn't for me, or hey, just so you know, going in, I was doing kind of a fish out of water thing and I just shredded this book, whatever. But when we take, and here's the thing, horror is very well loved. The people who love it are going to keep loving it and you're not going to scare people away. But then when you make a video about 365 Days, which is a mob boss romance, which it's so cool that they made a movie about it, and it's so fun that you can watch it and just laugh and have a great time. Like, we did a Netflix watch along for that film, my romance group, and nobody's really taking it seriously, but it brought us so much joy to watch this movie that people put their love and time into. These actors, like, the actor in that film, he sang like half of the songs on the album. He is a beautiful person. For him and the actress to be so vulnerable to make this film, because let's be real, just think about the people who have made, you know, films like this in the past. Things don't usually go super well for their careers when they do that. You know, especially if they're either semi-well-known or partially known, and then they take a risk on a film like this. And to have people just start calling them those names and do those things, like, they could ruin their careers by making a film that a lot of people want to see because they love this content. And then, like, 365 Days, like, they didn't have a huge budget for this. It is a foreign language film, technically. There's a lot of English spoken because the two couples, or the people in the couples, they speak Polish and Italian, and so they both speak English, so the only way they're able to communicate is in English. But to just straight up make a video or a blog post or a thing saying how shitty it is when you don't even read dark romance, when you don't even understand the genre, is just, I'm trying to find the right words that aren't just like mean. But you know you're just doing it for clicks. Like, you know the done thing is to satire things, but you're doing harm to a genre that does not need more harm done. There was another talking video I've been wanting to make and I haven't got to it, that has to do with like books being banned on Amazon and like certain authors that I like, that they do a kink that some people are asking for and then Amazon bans it, which is not that it is then impossible to get a hold of this book, but Amazon has the corner market on Kindle books and self-publishing books. And for you to go around that to reach your viewers, you have like sliced and diced their possible outreach, because now it is completely on the shoulders of the author and the few fans that they have to get this book known. And a lot of times the things that get a book banned from Amazon, like, I don't believe in censoring content. There's content that I never want to read or see, and I just stay away from it. I believe in putting my dollar into something that says, yes, I approve, yes, I like it. And if I don't want that, then I don't do it. And so that is the same thing that has to do with like these videos where people are trashing it. Like my romance group, like we try not to watch these videos because every watch that we do, we're putting money into the pocket of the person making it. And they're going to find enough clicks. They're going to do their thing. They made their video to get their clicks. They're going to do it. They're going to get it. And that's fine. But I choose not to support that because I don't want to perpetuate the stigma that dark romance is ugly and dirty and that you're a sick mother effer if you like it, because that's not true. My friends are beautiful and wonderful, and if there's something about those books that makes you uncomfortable, if you've never tried one, then don't. Keep your children away from it if you want to. But guess what? If they're really interested in those kinks, they're going to find it. Wouldn't you rather have been the one who introduced them to it and explain how the control and consent work than trusting the internet to do it? Because I'll tell you, the one thing you don't want is to be ignorant about these things, to listen to people who aren't really explaining them, and then find yourself in a situation with another human who is doing these things dangerously and unsafely because you weren't willing to do some research into it. So, I don't know. This rant video just came out of nowhere, and it's kind of just all over the place, but I just get so frustrated. The other day I was looking up booktubers who read dark romances, and I found so few of them. So it just breaks my heart. But I was one of those too. Like, I was reading dark romances and not telling. Like, the entire year of 2019, I probably read 100 more books than what I actually put on my Goodreads because I wasn't tracking the dark romances I read because I was too ashamed to say which ones I'd read. And now this year, you guys are all shocked. I've read 309 books so far because I'm tracking every single book I read, because I'm showing every single one that I read, no matter how dark and twisted, no matter, you know, and sometimes they don't all work for me. Sometimes I read one where I'm like, okay, that was too much for me. But I would never read that book and then be like, this is the worst. I think I've read one this year where I really didn't like it. I actually just read another one in the Russo saga where I didn't like because it has on the page rape. And I'm, you know, not a fan of that, especially when it's, anyway, there's a whole list I could get into for that. I've read 2 books this entire year out of those 308 where I've legitimately said, like, I don't get how anyone could like this, but this is what the story's about. If you want to check it out, here you go. That is how I go about those, is I'm always aware that even though I read a book like that and I'm just like, I don't know who the hell can be okay with this, but okay, I'm giving it 2 stars, but here's what the story's about. If you want to check it out, you should do it. I would never hate on the author for writing that story. I would never consider them a sick, twisted, you know, pervert for writing that story, and I would never sit on my channel and call them that. I will pick apart the content and say that I don't like it and tell you the reasons why, but I will never tell you, I will never kink shame you for liking it yourself, and I will never think that you're a bad person because you want to read it. Because there is something for everyone. And if there is any true content that is actually problematic and not good for people to read or see, I believe in the intelligence of people to step away from it and not put it into their bodies. And if they do that, if they take those things they read and practice them on other people, well, then they're a criminal or they have something wrong with them. That doesn't mean that the person who wrote them is responsible for that. I just believe that. I believe we are all responsible for what we read and what we choose, and what of that we filter through and enact. So we'll see where the comments for this video go. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but I'm just feeling fiery. I'm going to end this video. I'm going to post it because my feelings are just, I'm so upset because romance and specifically dark romance, because we've talked before about how I feel about romance getting shat on and it shouldn't. And like, we all know that's BS because romance is the genre that rules all other genres and you can't prove otherwise to me. But even so, like, dark romance as a subgenre gets even more stigma because now you're not just talking about, like, some people say, oh, romance. You roll your eyes and you're like, oh, your mom reads those. Fine, you can say that. My mom's cool, so what to do? But when you see dark romance and people go, oh, well, you're kind of gross if you read that. Like, BDSM, you're nasty. Like, that's a whole different thing, and I'm just sick of it. I'm sick of it because you've obviously never read a good one. Like, really, I'm not saying you would have to like it, but you've never read a consensual BDSM, beautiful relationship, and would call it icky because you haven't read a good one. Doesn't mean it has to be your kink, doesn't mean it has to be your thing, but if you read a consensual BDSM novel where they are working in harmony and there's punishments and rewards and all these beautiful things, it is a beautiful relationship that both people get what they need out of it. And I can give you some recommendations if you need them. So, thanks so much for watching this. Sorry that I got a little catty today, but I have a feeling a lot of you are going to agree with me, and this is going to be just what we needed to spark a discussion. So, Thanks so much, and if you want happier content, you can do that right now. Have a great day. Bye.